Hey, I'm Vergo and this is Psychedelic Actualization. On this channel we talk about topics like self-realization, self-actualization and working with psychedelics to live a more authentic and fulfilling life. So if you're interested in these kinds of topics and you want to join a community of awesome like-minded people, then subscribe to this channel and join our little Facebook group where we can connect on an even deeper level. So today I want to share with you the trip report of my 8-gram magic mushroom journey. And I recommend that you watch this video until the very end, because in the second half of the trip is where the real shit began. So the highest dose I've ever done with magic mushrooms were 5 dried grams. I've done it 2 times. The first time I was taking magic mushrooms for the first time. That was quite a confusing experience. You can watch it right here. And the other time was also quite a confusing experience, quite weird. But that's a story for another video. So it is quite a big step to go 3 grams higher to 8 grams of magic mushrooms. But I would say, like, I wanted to know. And it was intense. So the preparation for this journey was that I was sleeping 2 days prior, just in the forest. I was reading the book God is Nothingness. I can really recommend that book. Amazing insights. And I just ate raw food. So I was going into the trip with the intention to go really deep into the understanding of who am I and what is God, and to go into nothingness. So I had a trip sitter doing this journey and I ate the mushrooms at midnight over at her place. So I just ate the mushrooms. I didn't make a tea out of it, although I like to make a tea out of it, but I just wanted the raw experience. So I ate the mushrooms. They actually weren't tasting that bad, but 8 grams is quite a lot. And then I prepared my space at the couch and I put on some music, and the music was from Godotech, the Hopkins playlist for psilocybin studies. Amazing playlist. If you want to trip or journey to this playlist, I can really recommend it. It was amazing. So I laid down, I put my mindfold eye mask on to just experience the darkness, and the mushrooms were coming on quite fast. Like around the 30-minute mark I started to feel some effects, but it was coming on slowly and very gentle. And while the effects started to unfold, I was contemplating, like, who am I? And I thought about, I'm not my feelings, I'm not my body, I'm not my thoughts. I'm even beyond consciousness itself. And as I went through this contemplation, the effects started to intensify, but it was quite easy to let go into the experience and to surrender into it. It was definitely a boundary dissolution, but I don't know if it was an ego death, because it kind of felt like my ego adapted to this spiritual mindset and was sneaking itself into the experience. But that's just how I perceive it now, because an ego death is for me like, I don't want to die, and in this experience it was quite easy to let go into the experience, but I just accepted it as it was. So after a while I put the eye mask down and I was seeing amazing visuals, like really amazing visuals. It's hard to describe, but I remember everything was coming closer to me and then going further away. Coming closer and everything was kind of warping. And I remember as I looked at the ceiling, I could see kind of air-like patterns underneath the ceiling going around and floating through the room. And that was quite interesting, quite intense. And it activated in me that feeling of wonder, excitement and presence. And on the TV screen my trip sitter put on the tables of Chartres, I guess. That's what they look like, and I was just laughing because she told me about it earlier the day. And by the way, the trip sitter wasn't in the same room because I like to journey alone, so she was in a different space and I was just by myself in this room and going deeper and deeper into the journey. And I remember standing felt really weird. Like when I was standing was kind of this feeling of being drunk, but not exactly like that, but it was quite difficult to follow a chain of thoughts and to actually take action on it. Like When I wanted to go to the toilet, it took me some time to go to the toilet. If I wanted to do anything, it took me some time to do it. And just standing and moving around felt really weird, but also quite amazing. Yeah, and then followed quite some time where I was just laying down and like looking around and moving my body in different weird kind of ways, and I was just contemplating my life. And at that time it opened up so much clarity, or I received so much clarity about my life, about different opportunities, about what I can do and what I want to do. And I just felt this immense joy and bliss and excitement and motivation to take action, and just this wonder and excitement for life, and that fire in my belly to take action and go out into the world and do the things I'm realizing right now. Yeah, I saw very clearly the opportunities that were right in front of me and what I can do to improve my physical well-being, my psychological well-being, and my social life. It was quite amazing. Yeah, and I will read to you some of the insights I've gained on this trip. Like, it were the classic insights like be more present in everything you do in everyday life, appreciate the food you eat, be present while you eat, be present and listen to a conversation, try to understand the person that you interact with, like really try to listen and be present with them. Take responsibility for your emotional state of being. You are in charge of how you feel. And you are in charge for the things you want to manifest. And I have to take action if I want to realize the dreams I have, and if I want to realize the things I want to see in my life. I have to take action if I want to find a mentor, if I want to learn a skill, if I want to make money, and so on. If I want to have great relationships and friendships and be of service. And I just remember I'm so inspired and excited to follow that and to do that. And I just had this immense feeling of gratitude, and I wanted to express that immense gratitude. I felt incredible gratitude for the trip sitter that was there for me, and that I could have this experience at all. And I felt immense gratitude for my parents, for everything they've done and what they're doing. And I just had this insight that I wanted to be of service, like this inspiration to be of service. And to be of service is one of the most fulfilling things we can do in our life. Yeah, and I was thinking about the different YouTube channels I'm running, and I just received a lot of insights about what I can do next. I also received a lot of insights about my life purpose and how I can take steps towards that, and what I can do to build myself up and to build a great life. That was really amazing. And another insight were connect with people and nurture friendships. Like, if you want to really connect with people and you are blessed to have met some amazing people in your life, then connect with them, reach out to them, interact with them through different channels, and like be there for them, show presence, take the first step, and then things will come back. And so you can get stuff going, set up meetings, go on adventures together, or create something together. It's amazing what we can do if we just take the first step. Yeah, and overall it were 1.5 or 2 hours of this ecstatic bliss, of this download of wisdom, and a lot of awesome teachings from the mushroom, and a very playful but also a very intense and emotional vibe. And I really enjoyed it. I have never experienced such an intense joy on a trip, and it was really amazing. Yeah, and after all these topics have been covered, I thought I was finished. Like, the trip could have ended there and it would have been perfect. Such great teachings, such amazing insights, and it was similar to some kind of 4-gram experiences I had, but just a little bit deeper and a little bit more intense. But I thought, well, only 2 hours have passed since I ate the mushrooms, so it couldn't be over right now. Yeah, well, then I thought about refocusing myself, like getting back to my intention about the spiritual insights and the experience I wanted to have. And to do that, I wanted to take some rapé, to refocus myself and to center myself again and to go deeper into my intention. But it never came to that rapé, I can tell you. I wasn't able to do it in the next few hours. Because as I thought about taking that rapé and refocusing myself on my intention, I felt this kind of weird feeling in my stomach, and I felt like I had to purge. But I didn't want to purge. It was not that purge because of the mushrooms, but more an ayahuasca vibe like purge that comes from deep inside of me. But I just didn't want to purge because I had it before, and it is quite nasty to purge and vomit on magic mushrooms. Yeah, and that was the point where the trip took a radical turn. Like, oh my gosh, it was intense. And that's the point where also my notes end, because that is where it began, and it cannot be described in words. It was so beyond. It was like that second or third wave of the mushroom effects. They always come in waves for me, and that was in really intense and a completely different wave than the stuff that happened before. So how do I describe it? It's pretty difficult to describe. Overall, over the next 4 hours or so, not much happened, but it was the most intense psychedelic experience I've ever had. Basically what happened was that this kind of presence, this kind of alien entity presence came over me and was demonstrating its power, but not in a kind, lovely kind of way, but in a really intense, ruthless kind of way, with no mercy, no grace at all, and I was just humbled to my knees. And what happened after I felt this presence of this entity that was demonstrating its power to me, I just couldn't do anything else but just to go on my knees with my head to the ground and just pray. Just pray. Just like, it's difficult to describe because my feelings were quite weird. It felt like I prayed to this kind of mushroom entity, to this mushroom lord, because I couldn't think of anything else, because it was demonstrating its power to me. And this whole experience had a really, really religious vibe to it. Like, I remember some of the thoughts I had were like, I'm a true believer now. I am believing in you, in this higher power, in you, because I couldn't do anything about it. Like, I was not in control anymore. That was the time where I really had to let go, and I really had to surrender into the experience. And I was just humbled. Like, for 2, 3, 4 hours, I was just humbled. I couldn't move. I couldn't look up from this position. I was just on my knees the whole time. And I couldn't do anything else but just to pray. And it was also quite difficult to view the experience from the non-dual point of view. Like, I tried to comprehend what was happening, and I was like trying to put on the perspective of non-duality, like I am it and it is me and we are all one. But this entity, this mushroom entity, this alien, felt so different from myself. It felt so alien. Like I couldn't see it as myself. But at the same time, I was just remembering what was just happening in the hours before that. And I couldn't think of it being evil. Like, I just have this immense gratitude because it was giving me all these teachings, all these insights. And I wanted to thank it for these experiences. Like, thank you for being here. And I don't know why you're demonstrating your power in such a merciless kind of way that was humbling me to my knees. But I'm grateful that you're here, that you exist, that you're on the earth teaching us different kind of things. Yeah, and the whole experience was so strange. I've never experienced such a precise presence from an alien entity before. Like Mother Ayahuasca, it's that loving presence that is also teaching us something. But that was just, it was just brutal. Like, I remember that was the most intense and most crazy part of the trip. I was just humbled. Like 1 or 2 hours into that praying mode, where I was just praying to that mushroom entity and thinking I'm a true believer in the mushroom now, because it is so powerful. And just to say it, I don't know if I quite agree with that perspective from a sober point of view. I'm just describing the experience as I was feeling it and what I was thinking in the moment. Like when I say now, I'm a true believer in the mushroom, that was what I was experiencing and thinking and feeling in that moment. I don't quite know how to integrate and interpret that experience from a sober point of view. I'm just describing what was happening. And the most nasty thing, the most brutal thing that happened was I was praying 2 hours into the praying experience, into the experience of being humbled, and then another wave came over me. And I was feeling this intense vibration in my whole body. And as this feeling in my body intensified, I remember I couldn't move. I've never experienced that before on a psychedelic, but I wasn't able to move. I couldn't move a single finger because it was so intense. And then a thought came to my mind. I don't know if I was thinking it or if this mushroom alien entity was giving it to me, but it felt like that mushroom entity was speaking to me. And it said, "You are not in control anymore. I am in control. Like, you see, you can't move right now, and I can make it come out of you from the mouth and from your ass. Like you can shit and vomit right now on this couch, and you are not in control. You can't do anything about it." And I was just like, no, please, be kind to me. Just please, please, please. Everything, but don't do that. And it was quite difficult to surrender into that experience, but I was just going through it and experiencing it. Yeah, and I was just staying in that humility and that humbleness all the time. Like for 4 hours. I remember around the 2 or 3 hour mark, my whole body started to hurt because it was so exhausting to be in that pose all the time. Like, the only thing I could do was to move a little bit. Like, but I couldn't look up. One time I remember around 3.5 hours after the first 2 hours of the trip, like 5 hours in, I wanted to look up and I wanted to get up and look around, and I tried to look up a little bit, and I just couldn't. I was just pressing me down and pushing me down to pray for another 2 hours or so. It was so intense. Like you can't imagine how intense it was. Yeah, and I don't know, not much happened in these 4 hours. I was just being on my knees, praying, and the only thing that kept me sane was like that knowing from the book God is Nothingness, like that knowing and that faith in God, in something even higher than the mushroom. I don't know, because I have different theories about it. I will come to them in a minute. But this whole experience had a really religious vibe to it. I just had the thought of Jesus and of Christianity and of that being related to the mushroom. Other than that, not much was happening in my head. I was just letting go, surrendering, accepting the experience, and just laying in that humbleness and that humility. And yeah, I don't remember any other thoughts than that was happening in that time. And after a while it just slowed down a bit. The entity left the room, the UFO flew away, and I was just by myself in the room. And then, yeah, some amazing music from the playlist started to unfold, like the last few tracks were playing, and it was a really chill vibe. Like I felt not so excited and motivated anymore, like I was in the 2-hour mark after all these amazing teachers, but I was kind of exhausted, kind of humbled, shocked, just shocked about the experience, what I was just experiencing. And I was just eating a little bit, resting a little bit, and then going to sleep. Yeah, and that was the experience. Like I said, I have different thoughts about it, but I still don't know quite to this day how to interpret and integrate this experience, because it was so beyond anything I've ever experienced, and it was so beyond a specific insight that I don't know how to interpret it. I've talked to a few people about this experience, and some interesting ideas came up in these talks. Like, one possibility is that this mushroom entity and this experience as a whole was God, was the higher power, the higher self, demonstrating its power to me. Like the God in the Old Testament, it was also kind of brutal. Like, it wasn't always that loving and kind. Another possibility is that it's all just a projection of my own mind. Like, that entity represents some fear or some lack belief inside of me that I got to process, and it was showing it to me in a way, like I myself, it was a part of me that was reflected back to me. But I don't quite understand or know what part it could have been or what lesson I could get out of that. So that's a possibility, that it's a projection of my own mind and of my own inner world. But I can't imagine or believe that that's the case, because it felt so alien. And another possibility that came up was it was the devil, Satan, evil, and I was having an encounter with evil, or with a dark entity, with a dark spirit of the mushroom. But I don't know if that's the case, because I don't want to judge the mushroom or any entity or any human or any spirit whatsoever. So I can't resonate with that much. And the other possibility is it was just an alien entity coming down, showing its power to me, giving me some interesting insights, and then it went away. So I don't know what to make out of the second half of this experience. I would like to know your thoughts about it. Like, what do you think that was? It felt so real in the moment. It felt so alien, and it felt so other than myself. And it wasn't really loving. It was really, really, really without mercy, without grace, just really harsh and brutal. So what do you think it was? comment down below. Let's get into a little discussion, because I don't know what to make out of this experience, but it was quite an interesting experience. I'm happy that I've done that, and yeah, it just opens my mind even more, like to just what is possible with these tools, with these medicines, with these substances. It is quite interesting, it is amazing, but it is also quite terrifying, because it can get quite intense and quite, yeah, terrifying. Just it's scary to go into these kinds of experiences. Like, one tip is, don't expect that you know what will happen in these experiences. Never expect it. Always go into it with a kind of humility and be ready to be humbled. So that was it. That was my trip report of the 8-gram magic mushroom journey. I will definitely go back into the higher dose experiences of magic mushrooms, but with a longer break to integrate all the insights I've gained in this experience. Like, in the first half, it was really a lot of practical insights I could integrate into my life, and I've already done that to a certain extent. And yeah, the second half of the experience was just so out of this world, quite intense, quite interesting to explore these realms and to know that these experiences are possible, because I've never quite met such an entity before. So that was it for this video. Thank you very much for watching this video to the very end. So if you're interested in these kinds of topics, like working with psychedelics to live a more authentic and fulfilling life, to explore these realms and to work towards self-realization and self-actualization, then subscribe to this channel, join our community, our little tribe, and join our little Facebook group where we can discuss these experiences and these topics more intimately and more deeply. And also give it a thumbs up and comment down below what you think about this experience. Thank you so much for watching. Much love to you. Thank you, really, really thank you for being here and for watching these videos. It means a lot to me. I'm so excited to just share everything that I'm sharing with you, my insights, my experiences, and I'm so happy to be connected with you. So namaste, and I will see you in the next one.